Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in to our spiritual Hack Mankind panel call with Dr. Clint G. Rogers. Clint is an incredible person. And so he's a university researcher, CEO of Wisdom of the World, and best-selling author of Ancient Secrets of a Master Healer, a Western Skeptic, an Eastern Master, and Life's Greatest Secret. If you haven't gotten the book, get it. I'm currently reading it and I love it. Anywho, today Clint will be sharing the secret to getting to succeeding at anything in life. So stay tuned. Amazing content. And then after Clinton's given us the secret to succeeding at anything in life, I'll jump back in and ask a couple questions. So thank you so much, Clint. Take it over.
Thanks, Jessica, and thank you everyone for watching. I love that you have invested time to make your life better for everyone who's watching this right now. And I want to say that what if in this next 20 minutes together, you learn one secret by which you can have success more easily come to you. That's how people succeed. And it's a spiritual principle that I learned actually from this master healer. So this is the book that Jessica was talking about, Ancient Secrets of a Master Healer. I was a skeptic at first, a Western skeptic, an Eastern master, and Life's Greatest Secrets. And this master healer, Dr. Ram, shared with me a story about how he met his master and how he learned these secrets by which he became one of the most famous healers on planet Earth. Even Jessica and I have talked about Janet Atwood, who both of us know. She wrote something called the passion test. And you do this passion test, you discover your passion, and you align yourself with that, and then all kinds of good things happen. So she has 4,000 trainers that she actually, all the 4,000 certified trainers tell this story, or one of the stories about Dr. Ram, how he discovered what he wanted. But the story I'm going to share with you precedes that, actually. It's a story about how he met his master. And actually that story is here in chapter 5, and even the subheading of the chapter, it said, Secret to Succeeding in Anything. And he, in the midst of this story, it has so many secret principles. This is just one of them. You can actually get many secrets from this. But I'm going to tell you how Dr. Ram met his master and why it's important to you. How you can value from this very powerful story. So Dr. Ram, he said he was a doctor from nowhere. He graduated with a medical degree here in India, but he wasn't able to help people get better. People would come and he said he could practice maybe theory. So someone would come with a stomach ache and he'd say, okay, maybe gas, maybe indigestion, maybe psychosomatic, maybe he has some problem with his wife, he's just guessing maybe. And then come up with a broad spectrum of remedies just in case one of them would work. Now, he was not having very much, success. In fact, people were not getting better, so they would just leave. One patient of his named Shankar, he came for almost like over a year, maybe 2 years, came for like 2 hours at a time. Dr. Ram would ask him so many questions. And finally, this guy stopped coming. And Dr. Ram thought, maybe I helped someone. Maybe I finally made someone better. Well, he saw this guy on the street about 6 months later. And it's like, hey, he's walking straight. Before he had problems walking, he had all kinds of different physical, mental, and emotional health problems. And he just went over. He's like, what happened? Did I help you? You look so good. And he says, no, Dr. Ram, you didn't help me. You never even understood me. And Dr. Ram, he was honest. He says, yeah, that's my problem. I don't understand people. I don't even understand myself. I can't even help myself. How did you get better? He's like, well, I met this great master who lives in the Himalaya. He's in this forest area. He just touched my pulse, and based on feeling my pulse, he told me what was happening in my body, gave me certain home remedies, certain different things to do. And as a result, now I feel so much better. I have my reports. Everything shows that I'm feeling better. And he says, I don't know what to say. I'm so grateful. And Dr. Ram said, can you show me? Where is this master? So Dr. Ram actually got a notepad and wrote down on his notepad everything that was his problems. high diabetes, high blood sugar. He had Milo is talking right now. This is my, hey buddy, you want to say hi to everyone? Hey buddy, you want to say hi? Oh, he wants to be petted. He wants some love. So I'm going to tell this story while I'm petting this guy. Okay, so he went with everything, all his problems on the notepad. And he said to this master, actually, he didn't even say anything to the master. Finally was his turn. He saw there was like 60, 70, 80 people waiting. People are coming in and out in like 3-5 minutes. So Dr. Ram goes in and this master says everything on his list. This problem, this problem, this problem. Also, you're losing your hair. Also, you're depressed. You're thinking of changing your job. He just nailed it. Dr. Ram was so amazed. He's like, how did this guy know? And he gave him all the remedies how to overcome those things. Now, after that, Dr. Ram went home and he thought, this is amazing, actually. If I want to do anything with my life, I want to learn from this master. How did he do this? And also, at this time, this master was 115 years. And he would say 115 years young, with many years to go. So he's thinking, how did he live to such a long age? What's his secret for this? And there was many things that this master knew that Dr. Ram wanted to learn. So he went back the next day and said, and his master's name was Baba Ramdas. Actually, I want to show you a picture of him. He's right here in this book. If I can show you without. Oh, Milo is just trying to get, he's trying to get me to pet him again, but I want to show you this picture. Just 1 second, Milo. All right, I got to show you this picture so you can see that. Here he is. So this is his master. This is actually, he was testing Dr. Ram at this time, but this was further in the future. His name was Ramdas, Baba Ramdas. And so Dr. Ram went to this master the next day and he said, can you please teach me this ancient art and science of Siddha Veda, how you're able to do the things you're doing? And he says, yeah, sure, I'll teach you. Come tomorrow. So Dr. Ram came the next day. He says, please teach me. He says, yeah, I'll teach you. No problem. Come tomorrow. So Dr. Ram came tomorrow. He says, come tomorrow. He came tomorrow. Come tomorrow. He came tomorrow. This happened for 100 days. 100 days. That's over 3 months of coming every day. And the guy says, come tomorrow. At this point, Dr. Ram started thinking, maybe he's never going to teach me. He's like, but I want to learn. Because every day when he came, he saw more and more miracle-like things happen with people that would go in, they'd come back after 3 months and their problem was gone. He's like, this is so powerful. What is he doing? I want to learn. So on that 100th day, he said, Baba Ramdas, please, I want to learn from you. And he says, come tomorrow. He's like, no, I'm going to stand here like a rock. I'm not going to move. I'm not going to go to the bathroom. I'm just not going to go anywhere until you finally agree to teach me. And Baba Ramdas laughed. And he says, oh, who decides? He says, I decide. It's like, well, maybe that's your problem then. And so Dr. Ram stood there in his room watching as Baba Ramdas helped 20, 30 people. And he noticed how alert he was. He was helping everyone. And everyone he helped, they said, yeah, that's my problems. At the same time, he was paying attention to Dr. Ram. At a certain point, he saw Dr. Ram like kind of uncomfortable. His bladder was getting full. He's like trying to squeeze his legs together, kind of wiggling, not sure what to do. And Baba Ramdas says, oh, Dr. Ram, looks like you need to use the bathroom. He's like, yeah. Baba Ram says, well, then go use the bathroom. He says, no, I want to learn. Baba Ram says, oh, you want to learn? No problem. Come tomorrow. And at this point, Dr. Ram, he says, most people will laugh, but he started crying. Just tears started coming down his cheeks. And something must have softened in Baba Ramdas's heart. He says, okay, no problem. You can start learning. He says, okay, what do I do first? He says, go to the bathroom. So Dr. Ram went to the bathroom real fast, came back. He says, okay, now I want to start learning. Please teach me. He's like, super. So how many people do you think use the bathroom today? I don't know, maybe already 30, 40 people. Super. Was it kind of stinky? He's like, yeah, it was really stinky. Kind of dirty? Yeah. Okay, your first task then is go clean the bathroom. Now, Dr. Ram stopped in his tracks. First of all, it's in India where there's a certain class of people clean the toilets. He thought of himself as a doctor. He has servants to clean his own toilet. So why? He's like, Baba Ramdas, I don't think you understood. I don't want to learn how to clean the toilet. I want to learn how to do pulse, and I want to learn how someone lives to 100. I want to learn Marma Shakti. Oh, you want to learn that, Dr. Ram? No problem. come tomorrow. And so then Dr. Ram went to the bathroom and cleaned it as fast as he could. He didn't want to miss this chance to learn. So he's cleaning the bathroom. When he comes back, he says, okay, super. Now please teach me. He says, oh, first, let me check your work, Dr. Ram. And all of a sudden he felt self-conscious. Like, what do you mean check my work? I want to check your work. I want to see how you did. So Baba Ramdas got over, went over, looked at the bathroom and saw, Dr. Ram, this is a horrible job. It still smells. You missed this spot. You missed this spot. You missed this spot. How do you expect to clean the bodies, minds, emotions of men and women and children if you can't even clean a bathroom? That made Dr. Ram stop in his tracks. And there's a lot of secrets in this. One bonus secret I'm going to share with you is the whole time Baba Ramdas, he says the two greatest obstacles for you to see anyone clearly or even see yourself is fear and ego. And Dr. Ram didn't know it, but Baba Ramdas was helping to challenge his ego, break down his ego and help him face some of his fears so that way he could see other people clearly as patients. But the main thing is, then Baba Ramdas looked at him and said, Dr. Ram, this is a secret for how you can succeed in anything. He's like, I don't know, maybe you won't become a healer, maybe you will. But really the secret how to succeed in anything is this. Whatever you do, you give 100%. Whether it's cleaning the toilet, whether it's reading a pulse, taking a pulse, whether it's being with your child, whether it's eating a meal, whether it's serving, whether it's, petting your dog, whatever you do, you give 100%. So then Dr. Ram went back and cleaned the toilets with his 100%, made it so you could like eat off the floor, like it smelled like beautiful smells, everything. He just put his whole heart into it. Came back to Baba Ramdas, says, okay, I gave 100%. And Baba Ram says, super. Dr. Ram says, now can you start teaching me? Can you start my training? And Baba Ramdas said, no, your training already began. So this principle applies to you and to me and to everyone, no matter what you're doing in your life. You want to have a vibrant experience of life. You want to see more success in whatever you're doing, you give 100%. Doesn't matter if you're the employee or the boss. It doesn't matter if you're a housewife or a kid on the soccer field. You give your 100% and you'll see all kinds of magic and miracles happening. And what happens is you'll discover it's easier to give 100% than it is to give 80%. I used to think giving 80% I was conserving energy, because I need to last longer. But something magical happens when you give 100%. You realize you're not consuming energy, but you start generating energy. Not only that, but you tap into some crazy spiritual something where you get insights, power, the universe conspires in your behalf. Beautiful things happen where you just become more aligned to what you're here to do. And you see a power, the power of your divinity, of the divine working through you. And it's amazing. So on this call, I wanted to share that. And in preparation, there's another thing I want to share with you on the next call, which is about those principles about fear and ego. There's something along the lines of, how does it blind you? And what would happen if you had less fear and less ego in your life? I'm going to share a practical challenge activity that you can do where if you do it, you'll have less of this in your life. And what will happen with this less of this in your life? How will it change every relationship? Your relationship with yourself, your relationship with your creator, your relationship with your spouse or partner, your relationship with your children if you have them, relationship with your parents. This single thing that I'll share on the call next week literally could change your life forever. So thank you, Jessica, for letting me share. And I'm excited to join with you next week on Hack Mankind Spirituality Panel.
Yes. So thank you so much, Clint. And as I mentioned, I am going to jump in and ask a few questions because it was such an incredible story. And so one of the things that you did, I did write down fear and ego. So I was like, all right, fine. We'll talk about it next week. I'll refrain from asking. But for example, so you were working with Dr. Naram, right? Did he do similar things like that to people that were learning with him? And how did that show up?
It's interesting. We actually, I coordinated through a university in Berlin a 2-year certification course. We had doctors fly in from all over the world. You know, and some of these doctors graduated from some of the biggest and best schools in the world. And the first assignment Dr. Ram gave them all was to clean toilets. And you should have seen the shock on their faces and the surprise. And you know what? At our graduation event, that was the one thing that more of them talked about than anything else, was what happened. You know, because Dr. Ram says there's knowing, there's doing, and there's being. And more powerful than what you know or what you can do is who you're being. And who you're being only shifts if something inside of you changes. And usually that's through the activities that help break down things that you're not. You know, we try and prove things, or we try and earn love, or we try and do so much, but it's not who we are. And so when some of that breaks down through the guidance of a real beautiful teacher, and a lot of it actually is lined out in this book, as people read the stories and they answer the questions, something happens inside of you. This is the feedback I'm getting from people all over the world. Something very powerful happens inside of you where you actually discover more of who you are and who you're meant to be. Yeah.
That's so powerful. And so how do you know if it's ego, right? Or if you've just, because I'm assuming they didn't clean the bathrooms the whole time, or they did every single, like the whole certification program, like every single day. Like when do you know when it's a time that it's not ego, it's just you're organizing your life so that you have more time, and you know what I'm trying to get at? It's like, how do you know if it's actually ego, or if it's just you're at a different stage of life, or is there such a thing?
Oh yeah, I'm not saying you have to clean the toilets every day of your life. I mean, maybe, but you know, you want to follow your heart. But usually, you know, if there's resistance to something, like if you have a judgment on something, then usually that's ego. If you have a judgment on someone else, if you have a judgment on yourself, being better or worse than, or worthy or not worthy, or whatever it is, like you'll start to notice these judgments start to come up. Like, I'm better than this. I don't know.
Oh, so
all kinds of thoughts.
It reminds me, and if I may just jump in real quick, it reminds me of, I did a retreat, and I'm not going to say which one because I don't want to spoil the surprise for those who are going to be doing it. And it was a program where we did a lot of silence. And then one day, the person leading it said, so tomorrow you will come to class. And we already had like no phones, none of that. But she said, no, nothing, like really, we don't take nothing. We will give you what you need. So water, they gave us water, pen and paper, but no phone, no money, nothing. And we're going to go away on an excursion. And my mind started going like, oh my goodness, they're going to drop us in the middle of nowhere. We're going to have to make our way back. I don't know. But actually what happened is, so it was a day in silence. We weren't to talk. We had a piece of paper with a phone number for the team leader. So in case there's an emergency, we can give it to somebody. But they dropped us off in town, and it was a part of town where it had a lot of homeless people. A lot of homeless people. And we were to sit with people. So one of the exercises was to sit with people in silence. People start talking to you, obviously, right? If you sit with them, but you stay in silence. So that's already really weird. It was very not, like, definitely fear. And then the ego is, we're like, okay. And then it was all homeless people. And it was so humbling. And it was such an incredible experience, because so often we pass, like, I don't know, but that's how I was before. I'd pass, like, and I wouldn't even look, or there was something there that I just wasn't going there for. And then just sitting next to the pavement, like I would sit right there on the pavement, smile and not say anything, and be, and look up, like be in that. It was just such an incredible experience. It was scary. It was like, at the beginning, it was not fun. So is that something similar?
That's amazing. Sounds so beautiful. Yeah, he would give us all kinds of challenge activities, and give people challenge activities to face fear and ego. And actually what's powerful about what you did too is then you come to a different level of observation, because you're not thinking, what am I going to say? You're just observing, which is so powerful. And there's so many things that can happen in life when you become better at observing without a judgment, without a preconceived judgment or something. So really powerful. Thank you for sharing that, Jessica. That's amazing.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing the story. And Clint, what would you say would be a cool exercise that somebody can do this week? A challenge, like you're saying that Dr. Naram put you through, and people around him put a ton of challenges. Is there one that would be a good one that we could do this week?
You know what? It would be really fun. So actually, I am starting this week. Actually, it's early next week, something called the Miracle Experiment Game. And just a really simple thing you could do is when you sign up for that, there's already some things that you need to do as a part of that. And so it's all, if you go to myancientsecrets.com, you'll see where you can join the game. And in preparation to join the game, you have to do some things that it just helps you start to get in the motion of having the challenge and accomplishing the challenge and then feeling what happens inside of you as you do that activity. And then over the next 30 days, if you want to, together, we can do some real cool stuff where you can see more mystical miracles of love and healing happen in your life without leaving home, without even leaving your area, your home. You just have an amazing experience to see what's happening around you. Your perception and your spirit, your soul, your awareness will perk up, and you'll start to see all these beautiful things happening.
Perfect. So remind us the website real quick.
Oh, myancientsecrets.com.
myancientsecrets.com. Fantastic. Thanks so much, Clint. Yeah. What an incredible call every week, as Clint mentioned. So we'll be back next week. Join us on Hack Mankind, and Clint will explore the dimensions of your own heart and soul and discover all the answers that lie within you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Bye.